Welcome to The Explainer. So, let's talk about modern dating. It feels like a total maze, right? You've got endless swipes, a ton of conflicting advice, and underneath it all, you're just trying to find something real. We're going to break down why it's gotten so complicated, and more importantly, how you can actually find a path through it all.
Alright, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the fundamental human need for connection. Then, we'll look at the specific challenges men and women are up against today. And we'll wrap up with the good stuff, the practical mindset and skills you actually need to build something that lasts.
So, first things first, let's start at the very beginning, with the one thing that drives all of us in our search for a partner. At the end of the day, it's really not about just pleasure or getting your ego stroked. What we are all fundamentally looking for, deep down, is a real, genuine connection with another human being. It's that simple. Okay, but here's where it gets messy in the modern world. This very basic, very human need for connection is being turned into a product. It's been monetized and, gamified. Entire industries are now built around exploiting that desire.
And a perfect example of this, the OnlyFans model. I mean, think about it. It's not really just about the content itself, is it? It's this brilliant but kind of scary funnel that's designed to sell you the feeling of a connection. It pulls you in with free stuff, gets you to subscribe for a few bucks, and then comes the upsell in the DMs for that high-ticket, personalized experience. It's all tapping directly into that fundamental human need we just talked about.
Now, this new digital world creates some really unique challenges, especially for men. So let's dive into what some people are calling a modern crisis of masculinity.
If you look back, the motivation to find a partner was a huge driver for men to build things, to build a career, to build character, to actually better themselves. But today, that whole incentive structure has been, it's been short-circuited by easy access to instant gratification. So this constant access to what the experts are calling cheap dopamine, that instant, easy hit of pleasure you get from something like porn, it actually eats away at the very drive to improve yourself. It gives you the satisfaction without any of the work. And that work, that effort, is exactly what traditionally built things like competence and character.
So that's the big question, isn't it? In a world that's just flooded with easy gratification, how do you get that drive back? How do you find a real connection? What in the world is the antidote to all this cheap dopamine?
Okay, let's flip the script and look at things from the female perspective. Our sources point to this fascinating paradox. A real disconnect between what women often say they're looking for and what they might be drawn to on a deeper, more instinctual level.
So you've got this really interesting disconnect. On one hand, women will consciously say they want the kind, stable, good guy for the long haul. And that's absolutely true. But what often sparks that initial, raw attraction, that's where you see those more traditionally masculine traits come into play. Confidence, a bit of mystery, and especially a man who has strong boundaries. So what is this attractive masculinity thing? Well, it's not about being a jerk or being aggressive. It's really about self-respect. It's a guy who has his own life, his own purpose, he's not easily rattled, he can control his impulses, and he leads with a quiet confidence. He has his own world, and he invites her to be a part of it. And to make things even more complicated, you've got dating apps throwing the paradox of choice into the mix. This affects everyone. When you feel like you have infinite options, it can actually make you way less happy with the choice you do make, and a lot less tolerant of just normal human flaws. So you've got all these crazy external pressures, connection being sold as a product, cheap dopamine everywhere, these paradoxes of attraction. According to our sources, the only real way to navigate all this is to stop looking outward and start by looking inward. We hear a lot about being high value, but what does that really mean? It's not about money or status. The ultimate source of that mindset is self-control. It's the ability to say no to what you want right now for the sake of what you want most in the long run. That's not restriction. That's what real freedom looks like.
And you want to see this in action? Psychologist Sadia gives a great example. If a client comes to her who's overweight and has no confidence, she says the first move isn't a psychologist, it's a personal trainer. Why? Because you can't really build mental self-respect if you're not even respecting your own body first. It starts there.
And this all boils down to a really clear, actionable framework called the 3M method. Okay, so step 1, master yourself. That's building your self-esteem, your self-control. Step 2, master women. which is all about understanding the dynamics of attraction. And only then do you get to step 3, master relationships, where you learn communication and how to handle conflict. The key thing here, you have to do them in order. You just can't skip ahead to number 3. Alright, so once you've done the work on yourself, you actually need the right tools to go out and build something real with another person. So let's get into the toolkit for making a relationship actually work. You ever seen a couple do this? It's called the bad dance. It's this toxic pattern where one person is always chasing, always trying to connect, that's the pursuer, and the other person is always pulling away, needing space, the distancer. It just creates this endless, frustrating circle where nothing ever gets resolved.
So, look, building a great relationship isn't about getting lucky, it's a skill. It means choosing your partner carefully from the very beginning. It means knowing what your boundaries are and sticking to them. It's about taking full responsibility for who you let into your life. And, maybe most importantly, it's about staying curious about your partner, always.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. In a world that's constantly telling us to keep our options open, to keep swiping, what if the ultimate power, the truest form of freedom, is actually found in choosing to have no other options? What if it's in the discipline, the focus, and the real commitment to just one person?